Hello everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at the brick gem. This is going to allow you to connect to any orphan database you might have and run your models, views, controllers, migrations, and routes all in memory, which means you won't have to generate those before you can connect to the database. It'll also give you this neat little ERD that you can use to navigate through the logical flow of your schema to see how everything hooks up. And then over time, as you generate more models, views, controllers, either with this tool or manually, you'll slowly build out your application while having this in the background sort of helping you out. So to get started, I have a little demo app here that has a little seeded database that it connects to. So this is the seeded database. I just used a Rails app for this because I was too lazy to set up a Postgres seed. Basically, all this has is a couple of migrations and a seeded file right here. For the migrations, I can walk you through those real quick. It was just a couple of Rails G model for a customer. Oops, I guess this isn't going to work here. I'll just go ahead and grab it from ChatGPT. I had ChatGPT generate these for us because it was a lot easier to work with. So the first one that I ran was a generate model. I gave them a name, but I also gave them an email, just like that. I then had a, let me see, product right here. A Rails G product with a name and a price of decimal. And then I had a order right here, which was the order for customer : references, product : references, and a quantity of type integer. With those three, I then ran a Rails DB : migrate command to migrate the database. And then for the seed, I did a bundle add faker. There we go. So I'm just stepping through this real quick because it's really not that interesting, but also, some people just want to see the exact environment I'm testing with in case they're curious. So I'm trying to replicate that. So for the customers, the products, and the orders, I just do a destroy all in the seed in case they already exist. I then create 5 customers, give each one a name and an email. I then create 10 products, give each one a name and a price. The name is a product name from Faker's Commerce, and the Faker Commerce price for the decimal price. For the orders, it's each ID, and then the quantity is 1 through 5, and then do a Rails DB : seed command to seed the database. And because I do the destroy at the start, the rest of it should hopefully be fine. Oops, but I have to do that inside of my seed project. So I'll come in here and I'll do a Rails DB : seed instead. And this should hopefully let's do a drop. Then let's do a Rails DB : create. There we go. Okay, and now we can do this. We'll do a migrate, and then we'll do a DB : seed, just like that. And that should hopefully work. And now what we can do is, we should be good at this point to stop looking at the seeded project here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just minimize this. And what we'll do now is we'll come over to our demo here, and I'll run the Rails S in here. Now the reason why we have this demo is because this is actually connected to that seeded application. So we can see here the stuff we just created is already up and running from this demo app. But you don't have to take my word for it. If I open this up in VS Code, you'll hopefully see that this is not connected to everything else. So if I come in here and I look in my, let's say my app, my models, you'll see there's no models, there's no views, there's no controllers. If I come into the DB and the migrate, there's no migrations. The seed has my seed data just because I needed a place to make a note of it, but I can probably get rid of that. But you get the idea. So this is an empty app and it's connected to that other one just by coming into config, database.yaml. I just changed the name here to video_seed_development, or I guess in this case it was demo seed or whatever I called it, right? And then that allows me to connect to the database just like that. So let's take a look at how we would actually set this up ourselves. I'm going to use the same seeded application, the video, or I guess the seed is what I called it. So we're just going to go with something like this, right? So our seed_development is what we're going to have to use. So we'll do a Rails new video. We need to do a -d for PostgreSQL because the other one was set up with Postgres. And then we need to do a, we'll do a CD into video, and we'll do a code dot. I'll go ahead and I'll close this as well. And close that. And then this should hopefully, with 2 commands, actually probably 1, connect to this database in the same way. So you can sort of see how effortless it is to get all of this working. I need to go ahead and close all of this. We can come over to the side panel here. We can come into our gem file, go ahead and add the gem for brick. We can do a bundle command, and then we can do a Rails S after that's done. Come over here to localhost port 3000. This will work just like you expect it to. And now depending on what data you have in there, because I have a customers table, I'm going to go to /customers. You'll see this is working just like you would expect it to. We also have the orders and we have the products. Now there's no data in here. And the reason for that is this is connected to a different database. So let's come into our config and our database.yaml. This is connected to video_development. I'm going to change this to seed_development. And then I'm going to run a Rails S again. Go ahead and refresh. And now you can see this has the customers, the orders, and the products as well. So if I come into the customers, for example, I'll come to this first one, change this name to Dean, and dean@example.com. And now if I hit F11 and I scroll up far enough to get through all the errors and everything, we'll see update customers, set name, blah, 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 to Dean and dean@example.com. So this updated the database itself. Again, we haven't set up anything in here. There's no migrations. There's no controllers or models or views, right? We've just done all of this effectively from scratch. Now, at this point, you might be wondering, how do I customize this? What good does this do me if I don't know how to use it? Well, again, we can click on this. We can take a look at what all of our stuff looks like if we want to. If we want to, let's say, generate these migrations, we can stop our server, do a Rails G brick : migrations. Go ahead and run that. Now we can generate all of these or just some of them. Press space to toggle them on or off. I'm going to leave them all on. Go ahead and run that. Now it does generate some of the classes for like the models and stuff. But if we come in here to our DB and our migrate, we can see it does do all of these migrations for us. So we just created all of those with that one command. So now we have our migrations for this database in this separate Rails app. Let's generate the models. So to generate the models, we'll just Rails G brick : models. Again, you can press space to toggle these. I'll leave them all on. I'll hit enter and we can see done. Let's come over here. Let's go into our app, our models. We can see the customer model, the order model, and the product model. Now I'm going to turn off these broadcasts because they're really not necessary for the sake of this tutorial. But we'll go ahead and we'll turn those off. All of our has, manys, and belongs to's exist. We can now do a Rails S. Come over here and refresh the page. And this is working just like it did previously, but now it's got the models on it. And you can see here it's got quite a few orders and customers, or quite a few customer orders. Geez. But now what I want to do is I want to start customizing this. So to do that, we can stop our server, do a Rails G brick : install command, and run that. And now the first thing I'd like to do is to set up our API. To do that, we have to do two things. One, we have to add bundle add rswag. Go ahead and run that. And now let's come into our config. Our initializers are brick.rb. And hopefully up top somewhere, we should see the API roots right here. We can go ahead and uncomment this. I would suggest reading through this entire document because it has a lot of very helpful comments. Optionally, we can add this, but I just really want this API roots. I'll now go ahead and do a Rails S. Again, I haven't changed anything. But now if I come over here to localhost port 3000 /API/v1/customers, you'll see we now have the JSON API up and running as well. So at this point, if we need to start, testing our front-end integration or anything, we're already up and ready to go. We didn't have to do anything and set anything up. At this point, like our front-end team that's running React or whatever, they can start making API requests to this API with this database, and we're largely good to go. So that's a huge benefit right there. If you've ever had to do any sort of rewrite or anything, this can take days to get up and running. Just being able to spin this up real quick in I don't even know, 9 minutes is pretty cool. But now let's say we want to start doing our controllers, because this is great, but we want to be able to start making our own application. To do that, you have two choices. One, you can change this prefix path here to brick, and then you can stop your server, start it again. And now if you try going to localhost port 3000 /customers, that won't work, but you can go to /brick/customers and that'll still work. So that works, but now let's try to, let's do a G controller for our customers, and our customers have an index page. We'll just do something like that. So we'll generate that. And at this point, you can come into your Explorer here, go up to your customers controller. This is inheriting from application controller. It has our index action. Let's do at customers equals customer.all. We can come down here to our views. In our index, we'll do at customers.each do customer. And then we'll just do name like that. And then we'll just do, I don't know, like name colon. And then we'll like wrap this in a strong tag or something. Right? Like again, at this point, you can't really generate this with Brick because this is like whatever your front end logic is going to look like. But you can at least do something like that. You can now refresh. And now if we come over here to brick/customers, this still works. But if we come over to /customers, this doesn't work. Why is that? Well, we have our customers controller here. We have our customers views, but in our routes, we only have a get customer/index. So what we want to do ideally is just have get customers to the customers controller index action as customers, something like that. And now if you refresh, you'll see all of these names appear here. So at this point we have this, but again, we can still come back here and sort of have our like pseudo admin panel by going to /brick/customers. So we can still peruse whatever our ERD looks like. We can look at all of our backend here, kind of like an admin panel, just like this. But we also have this actual front end that we've built out now with our controllers and our views. So hopefully at this point you can sort of see how this starts to scale out. You leave this as your admin panel, or even saying that you can like use this as your initial migration idea, and then in here they actually cover a couple different admin panels. Like we've covered this before, the Avo gem, where you just set up the Avo gem, or they'll have like Rails admin, etc. So you can put the admin panel to work for you in addition to Brick by using this in-memory, database parsing tool. And then anything you need to customize in your Brick config, you can do in here. The only thing you really need to be aware of is for like TurboStream broadcasts, it does suggest changing it to inherit from application controller. This will break some of your controllers though, so you do need to go through and make sure that your, everything's working as you would expect it to. And again, there's a whole bunch of stuff in here that's worth checking out. And there's also on this page itself, I think there's like some video links. Let's do .mp4 maybe. Yeah, here we go. So they used a demo for like a Northwind database or whatever, which covers a lot more in depth than what I'm covering here. I'm probably not doing it justice, but I highly recommend checking this out as well if you're interested, because it again really just highlights how powerful this tool can be if this is a workflow you need. Again, it always depends on whatever you need to do. In my case, I worked in a job where we had to rewrite old applications, so you'd frequently get databases like this that don't have an app attached to them, and you want to like grab the data out of it and move it or whatever. And at this point, you have the database rewritten. Maybe you don't want to keep the old data. All you really have to do is change the name of your database. So we'll do like say video underscore development. You can then come in here, do a Rails DB :drop, DB :create, DB :migrate, DB, well, I guess we don't have any seeded data, but you can do this. This will run these migrations that you've generated from the old database's schema, and then you can run a Rails S, and now you won't have anything in your database anymore, but you now have this application's own database running with the same schema, so you can start building it out like that. Again, it's ultimately up to you. You're going to get out of it whatever you put into it. But yeah, I thought it was interesting, thought it was worth covering, so hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.